The heavily wooded Glenrock State Conservation Area lay shrouded in darkness. A Wabecool country. 45 minutes after leaving home, he came to the still waters of Glenrock Lagoon. Swollen with runoff, it was ready to surge into the ocean at any moment. The judge hurried along the strip of sand separating the ocean from the lagoon, then slowed as he approached the grassy knoll on the other side. Halfway up the slope, he came upon the track, loose stones shifting under his tired feet. Reluctant for the workday to begin, he paused beside a copse of trees to catch his breath. The lagoon lay shrouded in fog, the park silent, save for a rustle in the undergrowth and the distant sound of waves breaking on the shoreline. For long moments, the judge stood still, inhaling air dense with moisture, before deciding nothing could soothe his troubled mind. Not the damp remoteness of this place, nor the relief he would feel once the day was at an end. He swung around, and in the glow of his headlamp caught sight of a moving shadow on the track ahead. From the brief glimpse, he couldn't tell if the figure was approaching or ahead of him on the track. Most likely an early morning surfer heading to the beach for a surf at sunrise. The judge walked on, careful to aim the headlamp at the ground in front of him. It wouldn't do to twist an ankle on an unseen rock now or stumble into one of the many potholes caused by months of rainfall. A bird flew out of the trees, crossing his path moments before a dark figure, a man, given his height and build, materialised in front of him. No wetsuit hugged this man's form, though, only loose, dark clothing and a hood that covered most of his face. And where the judge had imagined him carrying a surfboard, this man carried a firearm. Processing everything in one terrifying second, the judge took a step back. No! It would be the last word to pass his lips. The glint of steel pointed at his chest, one of the final images he would see. He raised an imploring hand, registering the blood splatter on his watch face as the bullet tore apart his chest. On this Judgment Day. Chapter 1. Detective Senior Sergeant Callan O'Connor was at the rear of the group of cyclists as they entered the disused railway tunnel. The brick-lined structure formed part of the Fernley track, and it gave the cyclists a brief reprieve from the rain. The early morning ride had been cold, damp and miserable. The only upside, fewer people on the track. If O'Connor hadn't made a vow to lose the 6 extra kilos he was carrying, he'd still be in bed. Instead, he was decked out in fluoro lycra, reconciled that cycling was the only exercise that worked for him, and looking forward to having breakfast with Miles later in the morning. It was 5:45 a.m, and still dark, when O'Connor pulled into the security car park of his apartment building. As the gate rumbled to a close behind him, he nosed his SUV in beside the unmarked police car he used for work. The lycra suit had dried quickly, and the heated seat had kept him warm on the drive home. But as he climbed from the car, the frigid basement air sent a shiver through his rapidly cooling body. After stowing his bike in the storage area, he stepped inside the lift, waved his security pass, then pressed the button for the second floor. Inside the apartment, he paused in the doorway of Miles's bedroom, listening for the reassuring sound of his son's steady breathing before heading down the hallway to the shower. 15 minutes later, he was making a sandwich for Miles's lunch when his phone buzzed. It was his partner, Detective Sergeant Leo Castelli. "Hey, what's up?" O'Connor said on a sigh. Whatever it was, it didn't bode well for Monday morning. "There's been a violent attack at Glenrock," Castelli said, the subtle tones of his faint Italian accent more noticeable over the phone. O'Connor frowned. The Glenrock State Conservation Area had its fair share of mountain bike accidents, and hikers sometimes slipped around.